I had brought up to Trevor.
Let's stay on the pain train.
The pain train. I'm gonna beep beep.
So
come on, ride the train.
So we get this question a lot. All right,
Working
I'm
out
having
with pain.
X issue.
When to push it, when to dock it up. That I liked how I worded it. I thought it was a fun little segment for us today.
So it's like, when do I push through something, and when do I like go see a doc? When do I go see a professional? Because like I don't necessarily think it needs to be a medical doctor. There's plenty of really, really good physical therapists.
They're doctors.
Technically,
they have a doctorate in physical therapy.
Depending on what year they graduated.
I think the older ones get grandfathered in or something.
Or chiropractors.
Also, doctor of chiropractic.
People that have like solid orthopedic movement skills and soft tissue skills.
Movement professionals.
Right. So, all right. So I've got X thing going on. First off, like, where is it?
Okay. Do you want to let them play a game?
What? Okay.
My shoulder hurts.
My shoulder hurts. Great. Your shoulder is this massive complex.
I know, but this is like for real.
Where does it hurt? So first we got to start pinpointing. Like, all right, is it like
right here
on the outside? Is it up high? Is it
I'm for real. I thought you were going to actually help me today.
Oh no, I would probably just do some supraspinatus work, and that would probably make it all better.
Let's do that.
So figure out where it hurts first.
How long has it been hurting?
Exactly, and then what movements bother it. And like those are all important things. And does it feel like it's a joint, where it feels like it's inside, or does it feel like muscular? Because if you don't really understand your body really, really well, we see this with a lot of non-athletes. So people that haven't had to like use their body to play sports and do all that kind of stuff, like they just don't have the same kinesthetic awareness that like someone that's played. Like I would consider myself in like the top % of people that understand what's going on in their body. Like I can have something go on, and I have a really, really good idea on, all right, is that an issue that I need to go see someone for? Is that an issue I can address myself? And I have the necessary skills to be able to like address it if I do need to.
Yes, and there's also the point where you're injured and you know, well, this is an injury that I need to push through versus injury I need to rehab and take care of.
And there's very few injuries that we actually should push through. We can modify around things. So I hurt my elbow. Okay, cool. We can do lots of leg work. We can do work with the other arm. We allow that inflammation process to run its course. We allow it to calm down a little bit, and then we add in some light stuff moving back into it. There are some things that we do know that work really, really well, depending on what the issue is. But we have to figure out like what the issue is first. Is it like an itis, like it just came up? Is it an apathy? So like it's been around for a long time, and now it's chronic, and we need to address it in a different way. And so like number one is stop doing things that piss it off. Like that is like the golden rule for if something hurts. Like no, you should not like continue to make it hurt. But it seems to be a common theme in the exercise world. And remember, we have to think about what's a good hurt versus a bad hurt. You're tired and your legs burn because you just got done doing 50 squats in a row. That's normal. Like
your kneecap hurts after you do 50 squats. We have an issue.
Not normal. Or joints feel hot, that kind of stuff. That's a little bit different and not normal. So first deciphering between like what's normal responses to exercise and what's like, that's a little sketchy. And typically anything that's a little sketchy is like joint based. My joints are on fire. Then, all right, so let's say we have our joint that's on fire. Okay, my knee's killing me. So we look above and below. So we look upstream and downstream. So we're going to do a lot of mobilization for the quad and for the hip, and then we're going to do a lot of mobilization for the calf and also the ankle. And
sometimes some foot care.
Right, because what happens is usually the source of pain is not the reason why there is pain. It's just where it's being expressed.
So knee is a really good joint for this explanation because your knee, it bends and it flexes. That's all it does. It goes forward and back.
It's a hinge joint.
Sorry, I got fingers. That almost looks like a knee.
Well, I guess yeah, that joint is a hinge joint.
I know.
So it's good. It's appropriate.
I know. Then you would need to.
I like this because like it's kind of like
but
the tibia.
Let's put the patella on the top
sips
too.
on the femur and it goes like
okay.
this.
So if your knee hurts, it's a joint that only bends and flexes.
Right.
flex and extends.
There's a little bit of rotation, but if your knee has to rotate a lot,
You're tearing some ligaments in your knee, and that's bad.
it gets angry.
Very angry. So if you're having knee issues, that's why you're telling me your knee hurts, and I'm like, okay, well, did you do this, this, and this? Because it's not usually the knee unless you have fallen or acted upon your knee to cause it pain.
Yep.
That's why, like, you'll see us going quad, calf, foot, hip, glute, TFL, like so many muscles and ligaments and tendons act upon your knee.
Right. And so, like, if your hip isn't moving the way that it needs to move, then the knee has to move more. And the knee gets mad because it's not supposed to move like that. And so it's not actually a knee problem, it's a hip problem. And so that's why I always look joints above and below. Let's make sure those are mobilized. Let's make sure they're moving through full ranges of motion. And then let's look at structures that cross that knee. So maybe it's the quad, the rectus, our gastroc, anything that's kind of crossing over that knee that could have tissue.
You went with like the fanciest muscle names. Like, help people out. Like, what is?
Well, it's your
like,
your rectus crosses, and so it's important to like the knees that the muscles that cross multiple joints. So like your rectus is important one. You're like saying just your quad isn't probably the best representation.
But you only like half named it.
Yeah, I mean
Rectus femoris.
Rectus femoris.
Femoris. I was always told femoris.
And maybe,
Which I don't know. It's your femur,
sure.
the muscle on the front
Femoris.
of your.
And then your gastroc would also crosses the knee joint,
Which is part of your calf.
Right. And so we want to look at those muscles that cross double joints, and because they can be a little more problematic because they just have to do a little bit more work. And like other tissue restrictions there are layers of your tissue like sticking together and they're not sliding.
Is your
the way that they
fascia
need
sticking too?
Right.
So like so many different things. That's why like we might try a couple different things before we get it right because
it's an experiment. Like we just have to like try things and see what works because we don't really ever know. And that's kind of the thing with pain is essentially your brain telling you that something is wrong. Like it's your brain. And so this is actually a really interesting story. So there's this guy walking through the outback. He's just kind of like moseying along, minding his own business. He feels something brush against his leg. Okay, doesn't think of it, not a big deal. Keeps going. His leg starts to swell up. So he goes to the doctor. They find out that, oh, you got bit by a snake. Okay, yes, we need to like give you anti-venom stuff. And so they did that and his leg went back to normal. So he's all healed up. He's going back through the outback. He's going through the outback, yada, yada, yada. A stick brushes against his leg and he goes into agonizing pain because his brain has a memory of something brushing against his leg and it being a snake bite. And even though he didn't get bit by a snake again, he just got brushed by a stick. His brain created the exact same response despite different things happening. So like our brains have a really cool mechanisms, but like, so like it's a brain thing.
I mean, I've seen physical therapists do like work on people's like good arm or good shoulder and get like do all this mobility stuff with them, and then they have them, okay, now raise your other arm, your one that hurts, and their range of motion comes back. Like your brain has like puts blocks and borders on you. So sometimes if an exercise hurt you once, like you'll think when you're doing it, it hurts, and it's really just the muscles actually working. So
another fun one is like a brain trick is if you take your arm, go up like this and try and go back as far as you can. And then if you, what's the other way to do it? You go out in front, you go up over your head, and then you drop it down. You'll find that you get a lot more range of motion because your body wouldn't allow you to go so far, but if we just change the plane and trick our brain and then bring it down.
I don't think I need any more external rotation on my shoulder.
If you're hyper flexible, it won't work.
I'm 180 and 180, but my internal's bad. Ball throwing, play ball sports.
It's a good thing. It actually changes the articulation of your humerus in the joint. It's a good thing. It's good.
You're so scientific.
You get more layback,
which you
is
need when
important
you
for
play throwing sports.
Right. So, like, when should you fight through the pain? When should you go see someone?
When should you opt for semi-private over team training? I think like these are things we should talk about because I think they're really important.
Right. So any sort of like anything that's chronic, chronic in like you're trying things and it's not working. Like a couple weeks, it's probably good to go in and see someone qualified.
Trying things means like you actually have to come in and do your warm up.
Right, and like you're doing it consistently, like every day, and so also, one thing that like physical therapists and other medical professionals are going to have access to is kind of inflammatory like techniques or ways to reduce inflammation, whether that's ultrasound or acupuncture or other ways to just kind of increase blood flow. So that can be a good reason to go in right away. Honestly, if I have a pretty good understanding of my body, and so I know when I need to go in or when I don't.
If I can't fix it in 2 days, I'm going in to see
so-
at least to the chiropractor to adjust, because I know if
And if you don't have a good like anatomical knowledge or you know what you need to do, then it's better to just go in, have them figure out what's going on, and then you can come back to us and say like, hey, this is going on, and then we'll be able to help you navigate it. And
because we can't figure that out, and if you come in telling us this is the issue, we can know the exercises to go with that issue.
but we're not going to be able to like actually diagnose what's going on. You need to go see a medical professional for that. But we can help you once you kind of get past that process. And so, but then like at the end of the day, like the number one rule is like, don't piss it off. Like if you just live by that rule, like don't make it mad, like you're gonna get better much quicker.
But so here's the other thing. If you're doing things and you are not pissing it off, but then you go to use it and it's pissed off, you need to go to the doctor.
Right.
Like,
And anytime we even suspect anything broken, anything where it needs to be splinted, that kind of stuff, like I hope it's obvious that you should go in for that.
but like I see a lot of my shoulder hurts. Well, and I've been doing the modifier for 3 weeks. Like I've done the red light exercise for this, and it's still bothering me. I need to go to the doctor.
Right.
Or I mean,
Or let's give you some
The
mobility.
chiropractor
Let's give
or-
you some mobility drills. You'll do these for the next week, and does that improve anything? Yes. Okay, keep going. No, then it's probably a good idea to go in.
so no, we are here to help and support you, but like we also need support to know what's going on to better help you and better serve you guys. So don't be afraid to go in.
I would just like ask us. Like we'll be able to give you a good idea.
And that Aaron is right. Sometimes it's not what's happening in the gym, and it's something excessive that you continue to do outside of the gym. Painting, like raking, shoveling snow, like
We call these just like overuse injuries. You're not used to a certain activity, and then you decide to go do it for the next 5 hours, right? So like that's overuse, even if it is just holding a paintbrush, right? Like your wrist, your elbow isn't conditioned to do this motion for 5 hours in a row.
and like how are you incorporating your shoulder, like going up and down on the ladder, like that's another one, like
Right. So the moral of the story here is ask a coach. We'll be able to do a few quick tests on you and give you a good idea on whether or not this is something we may be able to address from a mobility standpoint, or we need to refer you out to the people that we trust so that we can figure out what's going on. Like that's going to be the easiest thing rather than trying to figure it out on your own. But is it muscular? Is it joint? If it's joint, let's look above and below, upstream and downstream. Let's mobilize in those areas. Let's make sure the tissue that's crossing the joint is pliable, it's flexible, it's moving the way that it needs to. Let's make sure there isn't any tissue adhesion going on, and then pretty good.